Jonathan Lamb harshly criticized Joni Lamb in a public television appearance, and it seems the long-standing conflict within the Lamb family is far from being resolved. In 2020, Jonathan and Suzy Lamb accused a family member of molesting their daughter during a family vacation. Now, 4 years later, allegations have surfaced that the Lamb family's matriarch and patriarch were involved in covering up the case. This time, Jonathan and Suzy have been forced to publicly address the family's private matters, including on live TV. Joni Lamb is a highly respected figure in the world of Christian televangelism, and she and her late husband Marcus Lamb founded the Daystar television network in 1997 with the goal of spreading the gospel through various means. Joan's name has been involved in various controversies and scandals, but the current issue is more serious than the previous major controversy that occurred in 2010. To understand the family's situation better, we need to go back to 2021 when CEO Marcus Lamb passed away due to COVID-19 complications. The line of succession was not clearly defined, but many believe that his son Jonathan Lamb, who had been deeply committed to both the family business and his faith from a young age, should have succeeded him. Jonathan took on significant responsibilities in the ministry even before his father's death, and he hoped to assist many others worldwide in doing the same. However, after his father's passing, he was unexpectedly overlooked for the presidency, despite being well qualified. This was reportedly because his mother, Joni, had plans to assume the role shortly after her husband's demise. Joni was then made the president, which many believe marked the start of a tense period for the family, as some claimed that the position was rightfully Jonathan's. Instead of becoming the president as he had worked hard for, Jonathan was made the vice president due to his mother's other plans. In 2024, Jonathan was unexpectedly fired from his job as the vice president, although the exact reason was unclear at the time. Later, Jonathan revealed that he had refused to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which led to his demotion. However, the company claimed that he was terminated due to his failure to meet the requirements of a detailed performance improvement plan, following a 15-month review of his performance. Jonathan's employment at the family's TV company was ended on November 16th. According to a termination letter he shared, Jonathan Lamb had signed a confidentiality agreement when he first joined Daystar. This agreement stated that he would be subject to defamation laws if he made untrue or misleading statements about Daystar or its leaders. Believing that Daystar had a submission culture, Jonathan believed he was removed from the network's board and his role as vice president in April 2023, and later placed on a performance improvement plan because he refused to sign a non-disclosure agreement. However, Daystar stated that Jonathan Lamb is no longer part of the network following his repeated failure to comply with the performance requirements. According to Jonathan, he was placed on a performance improvement plan in April of 2024, which was a form of punishment for not agreeing to the company's demand to sign a non-disclosure agreement. The plan, which was shared by both Jonathan and the company, included 6 points, with the third point restricting him from posting comments on any blogs or social media about his reassignment or the contents of the plan without first obtaining written approval from the CEO or a trustee. The Daystar leadership made 3 key decisions or actions on various topics. The document also addressed the appearance or non-appearance of you or Suzy on Daystar's programs or broadcasts. The 5th point of the plan concerned Jan's marriage. It stated that you had expressed religious objections regarding the marriage of Doug Weiss to Daystar CEO Joni Lamb. However, Joni's marriage has been legally recognized and affirmed as biblical by credible pastoral counselors. Regarding Jan's remarriage, Joni is a Christian who preaches against all forms of sin, including divorce for non-biblical reasons. Yet, when it came time for her to remarry in 2023, she chose to marry a man who had divorced his wife just 2 months after his previous husband's death. And this man was not just any ordinary person. Dr. Doug Weiss was a family friend who had been a frequent guest on their show. He was married to Lisa Weiss for over 30 years, but they got divorced. The issue wasn't the divorce itself, but the fact that he did it without a valid biblical reason, claiming spiritual abandonment instead. Jonathan, Joni's son, was not comfortable with his mother's new relationship, especially since Doug took Marcus's place as co-host on the network talk show. Joni later mentioned that Jonathan and Suzy were initially okay with the union, but they couldn't endorse Joni's marriage. marriage once they learned that Doug would be joining her as a co-host. Allegedly, this was the main reason why Daystar fired Jonathan, as he and Suzy eventually reached a point where they couldn't accept the marriage, considering it to be adulterous. Additionally, it was reported that Lisa had begged Doug not to divorce her. Jonathan has started a smear campaign against Daystar and its leadership using false allegations. This appears to be because he was not chosen to be the next president of Daystar after the unexpected passing of the organization's founder, Marcus Lamb. Joni, Marcus's wife, revealed that he had initially willed the ministry to his son John, but later rewrote his will 2 months before his death, giving Joni the right to inherit Daystar, after Jonathan and his wife continued to pursue a molestation case against Joni and Marcus. Joni acknowledged that her husband's death had divided the family. Jonathan was deeply disappointed when he was not chosen to lead Daystar after his father and Joni's husband, Marcus Lamb, passed away. This disappointment only intensified when Joni married Dr. Doug Weiss, who has been a blessing to Joni, her family, and Daystar. Jonathan, however, claims the rift between him and his mother grew due to his religious objections to her marriage to Doug. As seen time and again, family dynamics can become highly complex and at times heartbreakingly so. This is the current situation with Joni, her son, his wife, and their daughter. Journalist Julie Roy, through the Roy Report published on November 20th, 2024, has sparked a significant controversy, leading Daystar's legal team to swiftly respond with a 10-page cease and desist letter. The letter from Michael D. Anderson, an attorney representing Daystar Television Network, accused Julie of publishing false allegations of intimate molestation concerning their daughter. The letter, issued through the law firm Kelly Hart, demanded that Julie retract or correct her recent investigative articles by the deadline or face a lawsuit. This was the second such demand made by Daystar, indicating escalating tensions between the two parties. Anderson accused Julie's report of fabricating statements and engaging in a smear campaign orchestrated by Jonathan and Suzy, both former associates of Daystar. The report by the Roys does not have any concrete evidence to support the claims made in the articles, other than the unverified statements from Jonathan and Suzy Lamb. The report has been accused of publishing false information, and Anderson has demanded a retraction, warning of potential legal action. However, the Roy's report stood by its reporting, stating that Daystar had been given an opportunity to comment, and their response was included in the initial article. When asked about Joni Lamb's public response to the allegations, Julie expressed doubts and highlighted several unanswered questions. Although Joni, the president of Daystar and a prominent figure in Christian broadcasting, had recently addressed the controversy in a video discussion, Julie found her account lacking. In Julie's words, beyond the apparent contradiction reported in the article, the video discussion is most notable for the questions the women do not ask and Joni does not answer. For instance, no one asked Joni about her alleged one-on-one meeting with Jonathan and Suzy's daughter the morning after the girl reportedly told her mother she had been abused. Julie wanted to know why Joni wanted to meet with the girl alone, and if Joni could explain why the girl reportedly has not spoken about the alleged abuse since meeting with her. Julie also pressed for more clarity on these matters. Joni claims the incident with Pete at the beach house was quickly resolved, but there was an internal investigation nonetheless. The forensic counselor who conducted the investigation says Joni and Marcus shut it down before the counselor could properly interview Pete. Joni has not denied this. According to Julie, her reporting is based on extensive interviews and evidence, but Daystar has only responded to the questions they want to discuss. Joni has dismissed the allegations as part of a broader attempt to discredit her. According to the statement, the woman claims that her actions have been misrepresented in a video discussion. She says that her first awareness of any abuse allegations was in 2020 when her daughter-in-law Suzy contacted her about an incident involving her granddaughter at preschool. The woman states that Suzy called her and said there had been an incident where a little boy touched her granddaughter and her friend. The woman agreed to go with Suzy to the school, where they reported the incident. The woman claims she was there to encourage and support her granddaughter, as she would for any child. The statement suggests that this incident was an isolated misunderstanding and that subsequent claims have been distorted. According to the information provided, the incident in question was an alleged molestation of Suzy's young daughter by a family member named Pete. Suzy claimed that her daughter confided in her about Pete following the child upstairs while she was changing into a swimsuit, and Suzy described Pete's behavior as eerie, with his eyes appearing to turn black as if he were in a zombie-like state. However, Suzy and Jonathan, who are estranged from Daystar, provided a different account of events than what was being written about the incident. Jonathan's wife, Sarah, was deeply disturbed when she discovered the relative, Jonathan's cousin, George, in the same room as their young daughter, Lily. The sight of the naked child in the presence of the adult relative sent shockwaves through Sarah, and she wasted no time in alerting her husband to the disturbing situation. Filled with a sense of dread and outrage, Jonathan rushed upstairs to confront the scene unfolding in his home. As he entered the room, he was met with the horrifying sight of his daughter, completely unclothed, with the relative standing nearby. Overcome with a surge of protective instinct, Jonathan immediately began yelling at George, demanding an explanation for his actions. The relative, George, appeared visibly shaken and panic-stricken, repeatedly apologizing and insisting that it was all a misunderstanding. However, the damage had already been done, and the trust within the family had been irreparably broken. Shaken to their core, Jonathan and Sarah decided to report the incident to the local authorities, determined to seek justice and ensure the safety of their child. The family made the difficult decision to keep the matter private, wary of the potential backlash and stigma that could arise from going public with such a sensitive and traumatic event. The police launched an investigation, but initially the case was closed due to the lack of specific details provided by the young Lily, who was likely too traumatized to recount the incident in a coherent manner. However, the family refused to let the matter rest, and they continued to push for the case to be reopened, determined to see it through to its conclusion. After persistent efforts and the involvement of child advocacy groups, the case was eventually reopened, and it is now reportedly pending with the police department in Texas, where the incident took place. The family remains steadfast in their pursuit of justice, hoping that the perpetrator will be held accountable and that their daughter can find the closure and healing she deserves. The legal battle surrounding Pete and his family has taken a dramatic turn. Pete's lawyer, a seasoned veteran with a reputation for defending high-profile clients, has vehemently denied the disturbing accusations leveled against his client. He has remained steadfast in maintaining Pete's innocence, asserting that the evidence presented is circumstantial and does not accurately reflect the true nature of the events. Despite the distressing allegations, the aftermath of this scandal has been equally chaotic and unsettling. After Jonathan, a prominent figure in the Daystar television network, was abruptly fired from his position, he and his sister Suzy decided to take matters into their own hands. In a video released to the public, they claimed they were being subjected to a relentless campaign of harassment and unwanted surveillance, and have since gone into hiding at an undisclosed location, fearing for their safety. The siblings stated that they felt compelled to go public with their plight, as they were determined to let the world know that they were being targeted for standing firm in their convictions, which were at odds with those of their mother, Joni. However, Joni has not backed down from the allegations made by her own children. In a scathing rebuttal, she has fired back, claiming that she was the one who covered up the sexual abuse of her granddaughter by a family member. Joni's statement has only added to the growing complexity of the situation. She has emphatically denied any wrongdoing, arguing that the situation has been greatly misrepresented and that the public has not been privy to the full scope of the events. The family's divided loyalties and the competing narratives have created a web of confusion and uncertainty, leaving the public to wonder about the true nature of the allegations and the motives behind the various parties involved. As the legal and media scrutiny intensifies, the Daystar scandal continues to unfold, leaving a trail of distress, accusations, and unanswered questions in its wake. The fate of Pete, Jonathan, Suzy, and Joni remains uncertain, as the family's private matters have been thrust into the public spotlight, with each side adamantly defending their positions and seeking to sway public opinion in their favor. The allegations against the prominent religious family have sparked a fierce debate, with Marcus, a spokesperson for the family, arguing that the claims are part of a harmful narrative being perpetuated by a blogger who lacks first-hand knowledge of the situation. According to Marcus, the allegations stem from an incident that occurred at the preschool attended by Joan's granddaughter and do not involve a family member. Joan, the matriarch of the family, views this as a calculated attack aimed at destroying her beloved family's reputation and legacy. She frames the conflict as a public unraveling of a deeply religious and ministry-focused household, one that has been a cornerstone of the community for generations. Despite the backlash, with some individuals and organizations withdrawing their support from the family's Daystar television network, Joan remains steadfast in her defense. She maintains that the priority should be the protection and well-being of the child involved, and points to the well-established fact that children rarely lie about incidents of molestation, particularly in cases where the abuse is of an intimate nature. The complex and emotionally charged situation has deeply divided the public, with supporters of the family and advocates advocates for the child's welfare engaged in a heated debate over the merits of the allegations and the appropriate course of action. As the saga continues to unfold, the family's reputation, the child's safety, and the broader implications for the religious community all hang in the balance. The family's highly publicized feud has unfortunately overshadowed the primary concern, which is ensuring the safety and well-being of the young girl and seeking appropriate justice for the alleged crimes committed against her. The escalating conflict and public war of words between the various family members is difficult for any observer to ignore, leaving one to wonder why the child's new stepfather, who is a professional counselor with relevant experience, is not taking a more active role in trying to mediate and diffuse the tense situation. Instead, the family conflict has devolved into a sensationalized, soap opera-like drama that has captured widespread public attention, while the child's actual needs and recovery seem to have become secondary considerations amidst the heated exchanges. This fractured family unit desperately needs to shift its collective focus away from exchanging bitter accusations and toward prioritizing a path of healing and restoration. All of the involved parties, regardless of their personal grievances and history, should rally around the young victim, set aside their own personal grudges, and work collaboratively to ensure she receives the comprehensive care, support, and justice she deserves. In particular, one wonders why the grandmother, who should arguably be serving as a nurturing, stabilizing elder presence in the child's life, appears to have adopted more of an adversarial, public defender-like stance, rather than a grandparental role focused on the girl's emotional and psychological needs. This delicate situation demands a more empathetic, child-centric approach from all family members, rather than an escalating war of words and positioning for public sympathy. Only by refocusing their efforts on the child's well-being can this fractured family begin the necessary process of healing and recovering from this traumatic ordeal. The conflict between Jonathan, Suzy, and Joni on Daystar, a prominent Christian media network, has evolved into a highly contentious legal and public relations battle. The allegations made against Daystar, known for its global reach, have the potential to significantly impact the network's reputation and leadership. Despite Daystar's claims of broadcasting to 2.3 billion homes and 6.85 billion people worldwide, these allegations, coupled with unyielding reporting, threaten to disrupt the network's image. The dispute centers around accusations of financial mismanagement, ethical lapses, and the mistreatment of employees and ministry partners. Suzy, a former Daystar executive, has alleged that the network's leadership, including Jonathan, the founder, has been engaging in questionable financial practices, such as diverting funds intended for charitable purposes to personal expenses. Joni, a prominent figure within the Daystar community, has come forward with claims of workplace harassment and a culture of intimidation, claiming that those who dare to question the leadership's decisions are swiftly silenced or forced out. The legal battle over the allegations against Daystar, a prominent media network, has intensified significantly in recent weeks. Both sides have spared no expense, hiring high-profile and well-respected attorneys to represent their respective positions. This legal clash has taken on the characteristics of a well-orchestrated media campaign, with both parties engaging in a relentless war of press releases, social media announcements, and public statements. Daystar has fiercely denied the allegations, going on the offensive and accusing Suzy and Joni, two former employees, of being disgruntled individuals seeking to tarnish the network's impeccable reputation. The network's leadership has vehemently maintained that the claims made by the former employees are baseless and have no merit whatsoever. They have portrayed Suzy and Joni as disgruntled and vindictive individuals who are trying to undermine the network's credibility and standing within the industry. However, the ongoing investigations and court proceedings have unearthed a trove of financial records, employee testimonies, and other documentary evidence that have fueled the growing public outcry. The revelations from these probes have painted a concerning picture, with allegations of financial irregularities, questionable business practices, and a potential pattern of mistreatment of employees. As the legal battle continues to unfold, the stakes have never been higher for both sides. The future of Daystar, a network that has long been a fixture in the world of Christian media, hangs in the balance. The public is closely following the developments, with many expressing a strong desire for the truth to be uncovered and for justice to be served, regardless of which side emerges victorious. The outcome of this high-profile case will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications for the network, its leadership, and the broader media landscape. The core issues of accountability, transparency, and the treatment of vulnerable individuals within Daystar's operations have remained unresolved, as both the network's leadership and its critics have adopted entrenched positions positions, unwilling to engage in constructive dialogue or find a mutually acceptable compromise. The ongoing dispute has created an atmosphere of uncertainty and unease, with the future direction and very survival of Daystar hanging in the balance. The allegations of misconduct, financial impropriety, and a lack of care for vulnerable individuals have cast a long shadow over the network, eroding the trust and confidence of its vast global audience. Daystar's supporters have rallied to defend the organization, arguing that the accusations are unfounded or exaggerated, while its critics have demanded a thorough, independent investigation and a complete overhaul of the network's leadership and governance structures. The stakes in this battle are exceptionally high, as Daystar's far-reaching influence within the Christian media landscape is at risk. The network's programming is syndicated in over 200 countries, reaching millions of viewers worldwide with its message of faith, hope, and spiritual renewal. However, the controversy surrounding Daystar has the potential to undermine the credibility and legitimacy of the entire Christian media industry, where the values of integrity, compassion, and ethical stewardship are expected to be the foundation upon which these organizations are built. The outcome of this dispute will not only determine the future of Daystar itself, but will also serve as a litmus test for the broader Christian community, signaling the extent to which it is willing to hold its own institutions and leaders accountable for their actions. The resolution of this crisis, whether through internal restructuring, leadership changes, or a complete overhaul of the organization's operations, will have far-reaching implications for the credibility and public trust in Christian media as a whole. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you found this video helpful.